people don't actually understand that if they avoid mistakes, they are potentially missing out on one of the biggest opportunities to grow. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Mastering Post-Production Sound. My name is Joel. I'm a sound recording mixer, sound supervisor, been part of the post-production sound industry for the past 16 years, and I'm here to help you navigate the murky waters of the post-production sound industry. Mistakes. We've all made them, my friends. We have all made them. I had a good friend and colleague reach out to me. Shout out to Gregory Villefranc. We were talking about mistakes. We were talking about what it was like when I first started and what those mistakes felt like and what did I do to navigate them. You know, I think back when I was a mix tech, when I was a recordist, just getting myself in the industry, I was learning so much. And I'll never forget, I had a moment and an opportunity when I made a big boo-boo. It was bad. I was loading in a fix session for the re-recording mixer that I was, supporting. So it was a dialogue mixer, and he had some fixes come in. And I remember that I had imported the tracks, and instead of importing the tracks below, like at the bottom of the session, and then pulling up, the fixes, I think it was like an act. I think like maybe it was like the third act of the show had to be replaced or something, or it was late, and I clicked import overlay. Yep, you know what happened. I wiped out everything previously. And oh my gosh, he was livid. He was ticked. And he was like, no, you can never do that. I'd never done that before. It was like the first time I'd imported anything. And I thought, okay, I could just overlay this right here, right? And I swear I was by myself. I didn't know who to ask. They were trusting me, giving me this opportunity, and I failed. Oh my gosh. And I remember just feeling like, oh, this is terrible. But you know what that lesson gave me? It gave me the invaluable lesson of making sure I never do that again. No, but all serious, being serious, I learned that moving forward, to never do it like that. And I learned it the right way. I learned it in the trenches, because when you learn a lesson, when you're doing it, when you're like in the thick of it, man, it leaves an impression on us. It stays with us almost like forever. Like I remember that moment, and to this day now I am super careful when I import. And when I import now, I import any kind of fixes or any sessions. I always import it in the bottom of my session inactive, and then I pull those tracks up, because I do not want to mess anything up ever again, because I've had that happen before. So mistakes, they help us learn. They teach us. And so as we learn from these mistakes, we have to understand to not shy away from these opportunities that potentially might have, mistakes in them, opportunities for mistakes, because those mistakes will always teach us. There was a moment where I remember I was laying back some audio. It involved Adobe encoder, for those of you who know, remember or know what that is. And I was trying to get the audio, the many tracks of audio, into 2 tracks onto the HDCam SR tape, something like that. And I remember not knowing how to do it. I remember they taught me, but I was like, I want to run. This is it. I am done. And I had that moment where I thought, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I had my fix. I don't know that I could do this. I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm going to mess this up. I might as well just walk out the back door and never come back and just say goodbye to this potential career in post-production sound. I remember praying. I was like, what do I do? Oh my gosh. I toughed it out. And you know what happened, folks? You know what happened? I didn't get fired. I didn't, blow anything up, No one got hurt in the process. I learned a lesson, and, I don't remember getting through it, but I know that I got through it. I figured it out somehow, right? I think I probably asked for help. But if it wasn't for me saying, no, I'm going to walk through this, because mistakes, friends, they're uncomfortable because they have the potential to make us look bad in front of people, to bring on embarrassment, to show other people maybe we don't really know what we're talking about after all. I had that moment to shy away from it or walk through it. And I decided to walk through it. And I got through it. I got through it. So if you are curious about how you would respond in a situation like that, let me encourage you to just take a moment. If this happens to you and you find yourself with a big boo-boo, a big mistake, take a moment. Give yourself grace. You're going to get through it. And that's a great thing. Like, we all face mistakes. We all have these opportunities. I remember I was on the mix stage with my mix partner and sound supervisor, and we were talking about this very thing, mistakes. We all make mistakes, and they both had, we're talking 30, 40 combined, I think probably like 70 years in the industry, but they have time, and we all commiserated with each other. We all connected. It resonated, this idea of like, oh, mistakes, we make them all the time. And my colleague at the time said, I made a mistake like last week. I blew all the automation away. And you know what happens is over time, we get better at handling the situations. So don't be afraid of the mistakes. The mistakes are going to happen. Just accept that, right? But accept and choose to pivot our mindset that the mistakes are not going to be our downfall, but they're going to help us grow. Because all the sound professionals out there, all the greatest people, who you look up to and are your sound idols, they've all made mistakes. They are not where they are today without making mistakes in their career. We don't make mistakes. We take them and we learn from them. So there's no, there's that saying, there's no such thing as mistakes or just, learning opportunities. Hey, apply that mentality to this. So the next time you make a big mistake, take a second to breathe. Everything's going to be okay. We just got to get the reps in, and it'll happen for you. You'll make enough mistakes that you're like, okay, just roll with the punches. It happens. So there's no point in being worried or getting anxious about, well, what happens when I finally get my opportunity? You're going to psych yourself out. Like, don't do that. You don't want to do that. Just understand that if we take a second, understand first that it's going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen. And then secondly, when that mistake does happen, remember, hey, learning opportunity. What can I learn? You know what you could do in that moment? Grab a journal, right? I talk about journals. You should have a notebook. This is my business journal, right? I have a business journal. I have a personal journal. Write it down. What did you make a mistake on? Let me remember that, I remember as a mix tech and recordist, I used to have a notebook that had all the things. Don't do this. Don't touch that. Don't punch a hole into tape. That was where I learned. So the mistakes are coming. When they do, take a second, breathe, give yourself grace, write it down. Write it down. Remember it so you don't make that mistake again. We're all going to have a moment where we blow it big time, but it helps shape our future. It stays with us. We remember, just like I back then blew away the automation when I was importing, doing the overlay. Every time I import, I remember, don't blow away the automation. It's with me. So we're all going to have that moment. So embrace it. It's going to come, friend, but everything's going to be okay. Trust me. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, that's it for this episode of Mastering Post-Production Sound. Thank you for taking a second to go deep with me about mistakes, because we all make them. And if you hung out all the way to this end of the video, and if you're new here, I have a free gift for you. It's the Insider's Guide to Mastering the Post-Production Sound Industry. The 5 core principles that I have learned over my 16 years that I believe every post-production sound professional should know. It's yours as my gift. Just go to masteringpostproductionsound.com/insidersguide for your free copy. Thank you, friend, and I will see you in the next episode.